Hello everyone, this is Ginger Pana here on YouTube. I am going to attempt to do my first YouTube tutorial. So after many thoughts and pushing from my fellow friends and crafters, and this is for you Jennifer out in New York. I am going to try to attempt to make a video. I joked with Jennifer, who is creating sweetness on Instagram, and I told her I would make a video and just send it just to her. But this is good. Get me out of my box once again. So without further ado, we are going to make crepe paper rosettes, and it is, it goes in fads, and I think it's a really good embellishment for you to know how to make your own. I'm going to talk about maybe crafters that you can buy them from. There are many crafters who sell them because they make fantastic perfect rosettes. So I've I've been trying to make it for over a year now, and I keep giving up. And then I finally get it down pack, and then I don't make them, and then I forget how. So maybe this tutorial video is good for me too, so I will remember how to make them in the future. So I am on a rosette kick right now because it's a good to go craft for me. I put it in a bag, and wherever I go, I just make rosettes. And so I've made many rosettes, as you can see here. So I'm gonna try to do the basic on how I make them. There are many ways to make them. There are hundreds of videos out there that you can search for, and they have a lot of tutorials out there. So these right here in front of you are double rosette. So I went around twice. So the reason I did that is because I wanted to attempt to make heart rosettes, such as this. And so I been kind of gifting the ones that I've been making to some people, and I still have making more to give to others. But see, here's all of my rosettes. This is a golden black one, and I found that if you went around twice, the rosette is a lot more sturdier, the heart one. And so I just have a staple in the middle. Some people glue them, some people you put a circle on here to cover, or some kind of embellishment on here to cover the staple when you're done or when you're embellishing. So maybe I'm trying to just look what's in front of me here, and everything is stuck to each other. So maybe something like this. You just put it on top of it so that it hides the staples. So even when you have a rosette here, you see a typical rosette has staples in them. And so you just put something on it, and it makes a really cute embellishment. Okay, so I figured the best way I know how to teach to make the rosettes is to make a plain one such as this. So it's all, it really takes practice, lots and lots of practicing, because I was very frustrated and it took me forever to finally get down to where I am now. But this is a product of me working on it maybe 4 times at one time, sitting down for 4 hours. My husband is going through some medical treatment, so when he's at the hospital, I've been taking my rosettes with me, and I've been just making them. And some days waiting so long, I make almost 100. So that's a long time. So all you need is crepe paper, and they sell this crepe paper everywhere. We don't have Dollar Tree and things like that, but they do sell them at Walmart. They do sell them at some of our local craft stores here in Hawaii. And so Party City sells them. Party City, I think, my Party City sells them in the single rolls like this, smaller one. But they are about, I see it's over $2 for one. And then they sell this big streamer one, which is 500 feet. And this was, I would say $6. Okay. So they come in all different colors. I think when I go to the United States, I'm going next week. I'm gonna look for different colors of rosettes because there's not too much of a variety of colors here. They also come in metallics, and the only one I've seen so far is this gold and silver. So if I can find more metallics, they're a little bit more sturdy, but you have to watch because they're not two-sided. As you can see, one side is shiny, one side is really dull. Okay, but I think once you get the hang of it, you're gonna, whatever crepe paper you use, you're gonna be able to make a rosette. So here goes. I'm gonna I'm gonna do some variations on using tulle after I go through the basic rosette, but let's just go through the basic rosette. So I am left-handed, so you would have to go opposite of what I am doing if you're right-handed. Okay, so it's all about making V's and overlapping. Here's the bottom. So as long as your thumb holds the bottom part of the rosette, and with each time that you pleat, you turn. Okay, so for me, I'm going counterclockwise because I'm left-handed. And so, and I don't cut mines. I think if you were to cut it, it would be maybe about, for me, it's 20 inches. I know some ladies do make it in like 8 or 9 inches. I don't seem to be that successful in getting it that short. And I pull about a 3/4 to an inch from the end after I do my first pleat. And I hold it here and I put it like this and I pleat again. So I keep doing that, and each time I pull it in, I'm overlapping in the center. And so my thumb is always holding that center. Now every time you pleat, you rotate. Okay, now the object is to really get your pleats even as possible. And although you're not going to probably see the middle part, you are going to see the outside parts. Okay, and so that makes practice. And there's probably never a perfect rosette, but you can get it really close to the circle as long as you always make that V. You see the V here? As long as you make that V and you keep turning your rosette, it's going to come out. Okay, so like this, V. So this is real time that I'm doing it in. Now here is where sometimes you would see, oh, I hope I was in frame all that time. But you see how sometimes it's not really, it's kind of off-centered. So I think I've gotten to a point where I can move it without it unraveling and keep the shape. Now if you were to end it here, all you have to do, when I use my big scissors, is I just cut maybe 1/2 inch, and then from leaving it here opposite, I kind of tuck this in here, and that's how I kind of finish off so it doesn't have that raggedy edge. And then you just get a stapler. The mini staplers are not very good because the staples are too narrow or not as wide, so you kind of need a regular stapler, and just one that you can really will do a tight staple. So you just staple in the middle and you just tug at it, and you should catch all of the pleats. Now sometimes when your rosette is thick, what I do is I just go and I pound the staple a little, and it kind of pushes in the ends of the staple so you don't cut yourself. But in the end, you're either gonna put a embellishment over or a circle in the back to hide all of this unfinished look. Okay, so that is a basic rosette. Okay, you can always trim it. What I will show you when I work with the tool is you just put a circle around it, and see, this is a perfect circle. So as you can see, it's never perfect. So you can always go around and trim it. It's really hard to freehand and trim because well, for me, I keep trimming and trimming, and before you know it, my rosette is really small and it's still not straight. See, so you can always get a circle and trim it. It takes a little bit of time, but you know, when you're sitting around, the time goes by really fast, and before you know it, it's done. So you know, you just go and you just cut off all the googey edges. And I'm having a hard time making a rosette and talking, but you see, you can kind of get a perfect circle if you use a template. Okay, so let's do this again. So this time now for the heart rosettes, I find that if I go around twice and make a rosette, the heart rosette comes out a little bit better. Okay, so I am going to not talk and make my rosette in front of you. Okay, so you always make a V, you pleat it, and try to make your pleats as even as you can. And the crepe paper is very forgiving, so if you miss one or one comes out crooked, you can always unravel it and it won't hold all of the fold lines. Okay, so now if you if you fold it straight like this, you're never going to go in the circular motion. So always remember to keep that V. And once you keep that V and keep moving your rosette around, you will always finish up in a circle. So this one I went twice, and because I'm not sitting so close to my rosette, it's not coming out perfectly in a circle, but that's okay. I'll show you some of my adjustments later, which is good. I'm glad it kind of comes out wonky because you'll see that I do not make perfect rosettes. Okay, so when you get to a point where you meet, you went around twice, I cut it, and so you see that it is a little bit wonky. So just by, you can always do this, but you got to really hold on to your center when you adjust your paper, your rosette. Now my double rosettes are always, I make them into hearts. So it doesn't matter if the outside is a little crooked. Okay, and then I tuck it in, and then I get my stapler. Okay, and of course now my stapler is not going to work. See, it always happens. That's why I don't do tutorials. And then I ripped it. So anyways, that's how you do. So you see how you didn't catch it all the way. So that's why a lot of rosettes you would see, especially the thick ones, you'll see two staples in them. And I don't know why my staple decides not to work now, but sometimes you see two staples because sometimes you cannot get all of the pleats in with one. Okay, so that is kind of how I do my rosettes. Now here are some rosettes that I had made while I was sitting in the hospital tonight. So I made them in all different colors. And if you go to my YouTube, some of the shares that I gifted some of my friends, they'll show you all the rosettes that I made. But this is how it is. So normally it would just be one round of rosettes. If you really want it thick, you can always do 2 or 3 rows. Now, for cutting out the hearts, this is my heart rosette. Okay, so here's some others that I made. Okay, so to cut out the hearts, if I ran it through my die cut machine, and maybe everybody's die cut machine is a different pressure, but mine seems to be very strong as far as pressuring it down. So when I send my rosettes with a die through the Big Shot, my rosettes come out so flat. I don't like them. They really come out flat. So uh, I think if I embellished it enough, it would be okay. But I'll show you one that I bought, and it didn't come out that flat. So I'm not sure if she hand cut it. So what I did was I got a template. So I cut out a heart with my die. And this one already looks wonky because I've used it over 100 times. but I would put it on top of my rosette that I just made. So kind of where the opening is, that's my point. Or you could go it this way so that you don't have such a tail hanging. Okay, and then you would get your scissors. So here is your template, and just hold the center and then start cutting. And just cut around the edges as best as you can. And you can always go back and trim it, and you see it's so hard to do on camera. I don't know how you ladies do tutorials. I really give you credit. And I always end up deleting all my tutorials that I videotape because I don't like them. Okay, so you kind of use a template as a guide to cut it out. So then you end up with this, and then what I did is I go back and I kind of trim around the rosette to kind of even it out and make it perfect. Well, not perfect, but just to even it out so that it looks nice. Okay, and it's really good to get a really sharp scissors because you want your cuts to be really crisp and nice, and you don't want any jiggity jaggities in there. Okay, so that is my heart rosette. Okay, so I can see a lot of imperfections, but that's your heart rosette. So that's kind of the idea. If I'm sitting down and this rosette is in front of my face, I can really cut it out good, and it goes pretty fast. And so it's because I'm on camera and I have my phone in between my face and what you're seeing here. It's a little bit hard to gauge what you are doing. Okay, so this is how I got the heart rosette. So you can either send your rosettes through a die cut machine or you can hand cut it. If you don't have a die cut, you can just make a heart template out of some stiff cardstock and use it as a guide to cut out your hearts. And so this is my heart rosettes. Okay, now, and I think there are tutorials on ladies doing heart rosettes. But if you can't get your heart rosettes, you can always buy them. So here is where I'm going to break into an advertising. I did purchase heart rosettes from a gal on Instagram who is Gina, and she is crafty by nature here on Instagram, and I will link her channel below, and I'm sure all of you know who she is. She's very popular. She makes great creations, and I love to follow her and get all my inspiration from her. And so I ordered rosettes from her, and so her rosettes come out beautiful and perfect. So I don't mind spending money. If I couldn't make it myself, I would, in a heartbeat. I bought all of these rosettes. She even gave me some free ones. Thank you so much, Gloria. And so she made heart rosettes, and all of this I just ordered pastel colors. So she made some in the polka dot crepe paper, and her template or her die must be a little bit bigger than mine. So you see it's a little bit fatter. So it's really pretty. I love her rosettes. I'm not sure if she cuts them or runs them to the die cut machine, but they're very thick. And so I like them. They're really nice. So, you always have an alternative to purchase rosettes. There are crafters out there who make them and sell them. And so by all means, they make beautiful rosettes, as you can see here, which kind of gave me the inspiration to try my hand at making it because I was sitting in the hospital for hours and I just wanted something to do. And so this is what I purchased. I also purchased regular rosettes from Christina, who is on Instagram as well, and you all know her as Christina's Craftiness D-Stash, and she sells flowers made out of tulle or that ribbon and foam flowers in the middle. And I made these, but I bought all these from her. So you see how perfect all of her rosettes are. They're really nice. And so I just ordered maybe 120 from her. I think she sold them in sets. And so I got all these different colors. and they're beautiful, and I've been using them. So this is another alternative. So if you can't make them, they're always out there for you to buy, and they're not that expensive. Okay, so here is the next rosettes that I made. So taking it a step further, some of you were posting rosettes with tulle on it, glitter tulle. And so I really wanted to make this, and I thought I saw a video, a tutorial on someone making these, but now I can't find them. And I'm not sure if it was Erica Scrap Diva 29, but I can't find it anymore. But Kenzie Scraps, I think her name is Kenza. She's from Switzerland, and she does make them and she sells them. So I did order a few sets from her, and because she's out of the country, I didn't get them yet, but they are on their way. And in the meantime, again, I took out my tool and I started to make rosettes similar to the way that I showed you earlier. Okay. So for these, this is kind of perfect because I used a I used a template to cut it out. I used a die. I think some people run it through their die cut machine, but see, mine's comes out really flat, and I don't know if my die cut, again, my machine is really strong. So you see how the difference in the dimension is. So although you could always fluff it up, I still didn't care for it too much. I think it'll be okay if I layered it on something. I would use them. Now this one is with the regular tool that you might buy at Walmart. So it's this really thin tool that is great for shaker and stuff. But I didn't really care for it too much on my rosettes. And maybe some others would have better success at this. But I did run this through my die cut machine, and I think the tool is so fine that, see, it ripped when I die cut it out of my die. Can I just use a basic circle die? I just found a circle, and this one has the X's on it, but I just found a circle that would best fit the diameter of my rosette, and then I would run it through the machine. Now the only one that I would run through the machine is the ones that I made with this netting. Okay, because the netting is so thick that even when I put it through the die cut machine, as you can see here, it still came out really dimensional. Okay, now this tool, I found it in a local floral store, and I think I bought this roll maybe like 15 years ago, and I've never seen this ever again. So I used up whatever I had. It came in black and it came in white. Okay, so I still have this much left on my black. So I just so happened went to the floral stores, Floradette here in Honolulu, and they had one more twinkle net on the shelf. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This roll was $15. So this is really expensive netting, but it's beautiful, you know, and it's very thick. If you were to compare it with the netting that they sell now, I don't think it's really hard to find this netting unless you find maybe a wholesaler or another manufacturer that makes it. Okay, so I asked the gal to search in her back if she had any more of this, and they were going to call me if they found more, but it's $15 a roll, so I'm not too sure even if I would buy maybe one or two more sets at the most. Okay, but these work beautifully in the die cut machine. Okay, now for the other ones, let's move these out of the way. I found at the Floradeck store, I found this netting. Okay, so this has glitter and sparkles on it, and I found in that color, this pink, this gray, and this kind of off-white. And it came in more colors, but I only bought a few because I wanted to try it before I bought more colors. And this is about maybe $4 a roll, I believe. $4 or $5 a roll. But it has 25 yards and it's 6 inches. Okay, so surprisingly, I really like this tool because the glitter doesn't fall off as much as some of the others. See, so this is how it looks. That's the back and this is the front. Okay, so what I did with this one is I cut maybe about 20 inches of the netting, and I did not cut that color, but I did cut this silver one. Okay, so you have to put this is the right side, so you can kind of tell by how the sequins are glued on. And then you get your crepe paper. So for this one, we can use this gray one, or this silver, sorry. Silver, metallic. Oh yeah, I think it'll look nice. You know what? Maybe I'll use the white one instead. Okay. So what you do is this is 6 inches in width. So when you cut your length, you keep folding the tool. So this, let's say this is 6 inches. So you keep folding it in half and in half and in half and in half. And then I got my crepe paper and I put it like this, and I cut a little bit more than the width and I sliced it. So it's about 2 inches. So then I could get 3 strips out of one piece that I had cut. Okay, so then you open it up and you make sure you have the right side facing you. And then you get your tool, your crepe paper, and you lay the tool right here. Okay, so the same concept as making a regular crepe paper rosette. You're gonna do the same, except tool can be a little bit slippery. So you just start it off the same with your pleats, and then you keep moving it around, and you always have to adjust to make sure your tool is straight on the crepe paper. Now, I saw someone make this on YouTube, and maybe at the halfway point, she got her staple and she stapled it. Okay, so she kind of stapled it close to the edge here, just as such, so that you see it kind of holds its shape right there, so you can continue. And that was a good idea because the tool, until you get really used to, like, I think now I'm at a point where I don't have to put that middle staple in, but it's a good idea. And it's even if you get good at it, to have that middle staple in, it might make your rosette come out better because everything is intact and nothing slips. Okay, so you're making the V again and you're turning with your hand. And all you're doing is making pleats, okay? So you see how it's not lining up. I just adjusted a little. And so you just go a little bit over where you started. And I always have extra, but I hate to run out. And then I just cut off. And then I tuck this 2 pieces, I tuck it in. As such. Then I get my stapler. And I staple it. Okay, so you can always add another staple in it to hide it if it's not holding it good. You can always add another staple, and you can add lots of staples in there because really no one's not going to see it. So because you're going to cover it in the end, you're going to cover it with embellishments, so only the outsides you're going to see. So which is why you kind of want your pleats on a little bit more even and perfect, because that's the part where people will see. So for this one I got my circle template and I just put it on like this, and then I got my scissors and I just trimmed away the edges, and just hold the center so your circle doesn't, your rosette doesn't slip. So instead of running this tool through the die cut machine, because this one really flattened out a lot, I had decided to hand cut them. Okay, so of course you can go in and you can trim the edges, whatever you miss that are poking out, but it kind of looks really good. You know, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I'm gonna work on this more after. But so here are some of the other colors that I made. Let's see. Here's a white one. I think that's it. The rest that I gifted it away. So here's a blue one that I have to cut. Okay, so this is how I make the tulle rosettes. So it's just getting the strip of tulle even with your rosette. Here is the other netting that I showed you, the really thick one. So you can always, let's see, maybe we'll do a gold and silver look, okay, with this metallic. So you can always, this one is easier to maneuver because it's really thick. And of course we're using the metallic crepe paper, so it is a little bit thick to begin with. And so you can make your pleats as close together as you want or far apart. I think this one I kind of made like 1/2 inch pleats, and when I pull it together it's like maybe 1/4 inch. And always make sure you have a V. So you see the V forming here in the middle where I'm holding. So that V is what makes the circle of the rosette. Okay, so you just, what I do is I just grab the tail like 1 inch, 3/4 inch to 1 inch, and I put it in like this, and I tuck it under my thumb, and then I flatten it. See, so pull it here, bring it in as a V, like an angle, and then put it under my thumb and flatten it. Okay, again. Okay, so that's all you have to do. And if you don't like you see right here, you can always take it apart and do it again. It's very forgiving. Okay, so you just pull and then you move it, pull and then you move it, pull, pleat, and then you move it. Okay, so as you can see, it's coming to around the other side, pull. Okay, so when you get to the other side here, you meet the other edge, and I think I was out of frame again. You just cut it, and then from here you just tuck it in. Sometimes you have this gathering here, so I kind of grab it and I tuck it all in like this. Now I know why some of you guys, when you're concentrating so much that you tend to go off frame and you don't realize it until later. But you don't want to do it again because it takes a lot to do a tutorial on film. Okay, so that is your rosette. Then I would run it through the Big Shot with my die. And for this, because it's so thick, it's kind of fluffy, it kind of puffs over here. But once you run it with your die, through your die cut machine. The die cut machine kind of helps flatten it out, so then it looks like this. So from this wonky thing, you have this. Okay, so that's all you need to do to make a rosette. Let's see, I don't have any of the purchase tool that I bought because it didn't come in yet. These I got from my local craft store, floral. It's called Floradeck, so they sell floral supplies, and that's where I found this. And they were really inexpensive for, well, I think so. For 25 yards, this whole roll was about $5, like I forget, maybe 4.50. And now this one works as good as this is organza though, so it's really thin. It doesn't have that net feel. And let's see. Oh, I did make some. So for this one, I think I bought this from Hobby Lobby. Do any of you oh yeah, here, Hobby Lobby. Right there. Okay, so when I went on one of my trips to the States, I bought them and they came in all different colors. So I think when I go up next week, I am going to look for more colors and I hope they're on sale. Because this one only has 10 yards where the other one has 25. Okay, so for that one, the same thing. It's a 6-inch tool. So you cut the strips in thirds. And then you do the same thing like how I was showing you. And this is with the organza. So you can see it's very thin. The netting really looks like a net. This one is more very thin, like a sheer. Not as thin as the other tool, but it's a nice look. And it has all of these sequins mixed into it. So this is what I did. I used this this mint green on off-white or a cream color rosette crepe paper. Okay, so play around with your colors and see what you end up with. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. I thank you for being patient with me. I hope you try it. Post your pictures down below if you do decide to make some. And if you have any questions, please ask me. I will answer it as best as I can. And other than that, everyone, good night, and I will see you on my next video. Aloha!